Hey, what's up? This is Hans with Request for Music, and today I'm back again with the Synclavier thingy. I'm not quite sure if it's going to be a tutorial, but at least I'm going to show you a couple of things that I'm working on and I'm doing. One of the things I'm working on is a thing that is going to help in DX7 conversions, and I'm making a program to have a look at how DX7 how the DX7 envelopes and all that kind of stuff is working, and how you can convert that into Synclavier settings. And I have been working on some stuff already, things like this, and a couple of those like that, and the only thing I did further than just conversion of the DX7 sound itself was just adding some echo and some delay and chords and stuff like that, which makes it sound a bit better. So and one that I just did going from the train from the DX7, so that's stuff like that. The only thing is that there's amplitude modulation in the original, and I can't really find any way to sort of mimic that in Synclavier yet. So that's a bit of a problem, but I'll try to work that out later. Here's some sort of a piano sound from the DX7. Oh no, that's not the one. Sorry. Anyway, that's conversion of the DX7. I'm working on a program for that, and as soon as that is finished, I'll keep you up to date anyway. But as soon as that's up and finished, I'll probably sell that for not too large an amount. So I'll keep you informed about that. And I'm also working on a resynthesis stuff like that. So something like this. Sort of guitarish sound. It's a bit hard to get it yet, and I'm still working on the best way to get that done. But hopefully later, things like sort of voice kind of sounds anyway. Stuff like that. Okay, but for the rest, what I'm working on, what I'm doing, I'm going through some tests really to see how how the program reacts in some in some ways. For instance, what I've been doing is just seeing what it does when you do stuff with time slices like this, where I've got a lot of time slices, and every time slice is another harmonic, because that would theoretically give you sort of a filter shape, yeah, because it's the first one has the first just a carrier and the first harmonic, and the next one has the next harmonic in it, and so on. If I go through all of the frames, you'll see that all of the harmonics come up. So when it sounds, you get stuff like this. Sorry for that. So you get a sort of a filter tone. What you do here, though, is that there's you do hear the shape coming in for the next. It goes stepwise, so to speak. Anyway, what I did was trying to see what it does with other carrier sounds. So this was the first one with just a sine wave, and the next one has a sawtooth. And you hear that some weird stuff is happening at some points. Oh, that's my fault, I see. That's because there's no sine wave in there. Oops. now obviously I need to go back and see what I did again. So go back to my previous. Okay, so I've got that one. So hopefully this is better. Yeah. Okay, that's with sawtooth wave, and the next one is a triangle or a pulse wave. So if I solo that, still the same kind of thing. And the next one, which is a triangular wave, which is almost the same as the sine wave, really. And for the rest, I had been testing with some other shapes, like what if I don't do just the next harmonic, but really build on all of them up and see how that sounds. Then at least it seems that it's much more sliding than if I do the single harmonic, so that sounds better actually. So like that, and let's see what I did in the last one. I think I did actually the same. The only thing probably what I did was have some extra try to do with other FM mod settings, and as you will see, I've got very, very low settings, 0.004. And even when I try to mimic DX7, I can't go any further than 0.2 as a modulation setting. So when we compare the way that modulation is handled for the FM part, you have a lot more settings that you can work with in Synclavier. Anyway, if I do something like this, and now I turn up my my mod settings, you hear the sound obviously is getting louder, but also the amount of modulation is getting louder, so you get lots more frequency, higher frequency in there. And just for the record, in my envelope, you'll see that there's no settings actually there that do the filtering that you hear, because everything is done just by time slices. And that also means that if I wanted this to be quicker now or slower, that I needed to go back to my normal desk settings and go into my frame speed, because now the frame setting for the selected selected partial is at 1, but if I turn it up to 2.5, I get yeah, a faster filter than I had before. Something like that. And what I still can do with my envelopes though is that I can go into my harmonic parts for this one, and if I pull back my sustain to 0, obviously it doesn't work because the modulator settings are now not taken into account. But what can I do though is give it a lot more decay, and now my peak setting is the one that that makes sure that it's not going over a certain level, or otherwise the setting for the sustain. So if I set my sustain at 30, for instance, somewhere, let's see, something like this, it won't go over that level. So even if I pull back my my peak and my delay, it won't go further than this. Okay, so that's something that you could try to work on. And another thing is that normally what we would do is use the harmonic envelope to make that kind of filter setting. And the kind of filtering that I've done now is not something that you can really do normally with just the harmonic and the just the harmonic envelope and one modulator, because we're using more of the spectrum now. But otherwise, what we could do, for instance, is when we make an envelope for some settings. So if I just go into my time slice and I'll just add some modulator in. So I'll put this one on. And why am I not hearing anything? That's because let's see. Do I have the good one? Oh, there's lots of dots in there, so I'll need to get those out first. So just delete all of those time slices. So I'll just have the first one. Okay, so I've got some sound in there, and I'll pull back all of my attack decay settings and stuff back to 0. So I got this. Well, normally what I would do is change my harmonic envelope. So I do something like give it some decay. I'll pull the peak up, pull my sustain down, and now the envelope is taking care of the filter sort of sound. Yeah. So if I pull my modulator up a bit, so I have some heavier. Okay, now I do this from the envelope, but some sounds that we try to make, for instance, the X7 sounds, which has a lot more extensive envelope setting that you can work with. That's not a sort of thing that you can do in Synclavier. Synclavier has a normal attack, decay, sustain, release, and it has a peak setting and a delay, and that's nice. But for the rest, I don't have specific levels afterwards. What I could do, though, is sort of rebuild these settings in my time slice to use the time slice as an ADSR. So if I set my decay, let's set it to a standard value. I'll set it to 1 second, and I'll set my release also to 1 second. Let's see, so like this. Okay, so I've got this sound now. If I take a new partial, and let's see if I don't get anything in there. Yeah, I've got all of those settings in there, so I'll delete all of those first. So I'll start with the same sort of setting. So maybe it's better to copy this first, actually. So I've got number 7, and I'll copy it to 8. So I got both of them there, and now in the second one, I'll go into my envelope and put these settings back. So I've got my sustain back at 100%, and my release at 0, and so on. So I got more sound than I have in this one, because obviously this goes back. So what could I do now by using time slices is actually doing the same thing, because at 1.0 the modulation should be 0. So if I go into my time slice, and I copy my time slice and go over to 1 and paste it there and just dial my modulation back. Oops. Done it in the wrong one. Happens now and then. Go into my right one, copy this, go over to my first, paste it there, and dial my modulation back. It should actually sound the same as the one with a normal envelope. Okay. But the only thing is now that I have lots more options, because if I want to dial it up a bit again, or maybe not go to 0 modulation, but maybe go to 0.3 or something, and then go up to 1 again, I could. Yeah, so I could just copy this over again. So copy, paste it here, dial this up to whatever. Maybe go to 100%. So that's what you can work with. You can actually build all of the ADSR shapes that you would want. If I wanted this to go back to 0 volume at 2, I could just do that. Copy this one over again. So copy this, paste it here, and there, draw my volume to 0. Yeah, so you can do lots of stuff. And if you wanted it to be another sound after that, you could just copy or just make a new one there and build a new kind of shape in for maybe both carrier and modulator, and it will go there. So whatever you want to do with the shapes and waves of your time slices and of any partial, you can just go out and do the weirdest stuff with that if you wanted to, because obviously this one can be transposed and what have you, and delayed, and so there's lots of stuff that you can do. If I want just to delay this after my my 0, I could just give this give this next one a delay time. Something like that. Yeah, and it works for every key, of course. So if I just press any key, you can make the weirdest sounds. So, well, at least that's something that I wanted to give you, and I hope that you can do nice stuff with it. And for the rest, in the coming time, I'm also looking at making sounds of my own into sound banks that I'll probably sell. So that could be anything. I've been working on lots of stuff like or lots and lots of stuff. I'm having to go through them and see if it can make them into nice banks and stuff. But lots of effects, but also just really fat sounds or gritty sounds. Bit Fairlight kind of sounds, and what have you, keys. stuff that I have that I'm going to be putting into certain banks. Also working on some Walter Carlos or Wendy Carlos stuff. Stuff like that. So anyway, all kinds of stuff. Anyway, that's what I wanted to give you, and I'll be back in a couple of weeks, actually. So hope you enjoyed this for what it's worth, and see you back next time. Cheers. Bye-bye.